Hey. For week 3, we're here for Draftstars, and we are excited to jump into week 3 of the NFL. It's been 2 phenomenal weeks. I'm here with Arch, and mate, it was a great Monday night football game. Did you catch it?
Buffalo one. I thought it was a bit of a snore fest after they got ahead. There was no other game on Monday night. I don't know what you're talking about,
mate. Oh, you didn't see your Vikings get pumped by my Eagles. Woo-hoo-hoo. Darius Slay, baby. It was a good game. Far out.
I'm pretty sure they had a bye, so I don't know where you get your mail from, Rowan.
What I was watching, Vikings definitely had a bye as well. Funny. We are on Twitter. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe, please. If you're not watching us on YouTube, even if you're not, jump on YouTube and subscribe to our page, the TFL Podcast, where you can, be notified of every time we go live. It's always a fun time. Of course, Apple Podcasts, 5-star reviews, and give us a like. Spotify as well. Anywhere you're listening to us, we appreciate your feedback. So thank you very much for doing that for one and all. Guys, we have a link for you to be able to join Draftstars, bit.ly/join Draftstars. Or we have a contest each and every week that you can join for $5. Bit.ly/TFL week 3. It's there on the bottom of the screen on YouTube if you're watching. And we'd love to play against you. We're already in it, Arch. It's also in the lobby. You can find us in the lobby on Draftstars.
Featured contest.
That's right. It's I think a really great contest for newbies. It's $5, so it's not asking too much. It's single entry, so it really levels the playing field, I think, when you jump in on a single entry. And if you employ the strategies, the thoughts that we give you, well, we hope that you succeed and do well.
Yeah. So, the worst thing is, Ron, half the time I forget what I've said and just put in a really rubbish lineup. I don't think I've cracked the top half yet in our own contest. So something's going wrong.
Yeah, I didn't do great last week in our contest either. Last week just wasn't great for me at all because, unfortunately, I faded the Baltimore and Miami game.
Yes, me
don't
too.
know why. I don't know why. It's just sometimes you make these choices and
we even featured it.
Hindsight kicks your butt. I know we did. So anyway, we gotta let go of that. And we gotta move on. And it's a new week. That's the best thing about DFS. It's a fresh start, fresh week, and boy, there's some awesome matchups. Instead of doing 5 matchups like we normally do, we've got 6 for you tonight. So strap yourselves in, everybody. It's going to be a fun time. Arch, did you want to look at last week's winning lineup? What I noticed a little bit was, I believe it was JK who took out the main. Look, he had a whole mix. Once again, like Monkerai guy 2 weeks ago, JK last week, we've seen 2 guys here that are not afraid to spread their ownership quite thin. Is that the word? Between a lot of different players. And I think the highest owned they had was sitting around the not even 50% mark. Yeah. So like they're willing to kind of get different, but they were still fairly heavy on guys like Mark Andrews and Tyreek Hill, 2 plays in that game. I think JK only had about 9% of Tua, but that was the stack. That was the stack that won him
absolutely
at the main. So again, we want to stack, guys. Stacking's the way to go. Bring it back. And so having Tua with Waddle and Hill, bringing back with Mark Andrews was a supreme play last week. If you're on that, well done. I know. The Mariota player I wasn't too unhappy with, actually. And Trey Lance I was looking good with some my Trey Lance lineups, and then he goes down, unfortunately, in that first quarter. So, it's a mix. It's a mix, that's for sure. Anyway, Arch, is there anything else that you want to talk about before we jump into the matchups today?
No, look, we've got the extra matchup. Let's just get straight into it, shall we?
Let's do it.
Yeah, baby. Ha, ha. Let's wake a thrip of your time. Ha, ha.
Yes, indeed. It is week 3.
Just trying to get pumped up, Rowan.
Here we are. It's been a public holiday today, so it's a weird kind of routine for us.
Weird.
But hey,
Thanks, Victoria, for making us all have to have it on the Thursday.
Yeah, gee whiz. Goodness me. I have to go back to work tomorrow for a day? What is this nonsense?
Meanwhile, they get to have a grand final parade.
Goodness me. Looking forward to that, by the way. Should be a fantastic game.
Yes.
Anyway, we're going to jump in. We're going to jump in with Detroit at Minnesota. We're going to talk about your Vikings, but I'm going to talk about your Vikings. And here's some little stats to kind of think about. Detroit's been allowing the 5th most pass yards per game. They've been allowing the 7th most rush yards per game. They've been giving up 32.5 real points per game. Detroit's defense is not great. Minnesota, on the other side, also haven't been phenomenal, especially last week. And it's probably, this is a 2-game sample. So you're not looking at, you can't base this over everything. They had a pretty good game against Green Bay. But last week, Philly did destroy them. It was great to watch. So anyway, let's jump into our plays here. And we're going to start off straight off the bat with our value of the week. Arch, can you line that one up? And we'll get into our value of the week.
Inconceivable.
Now, Amon-Ra St. Brown is our value of the week. Now, he's being priced at $12,740 on Draftstars. That's the 10th most expensive wide receiver on the slate. And that might not seem like value, but he is simply way too cheap for what he has been doing.
Too cheap.
He has 8 consecutive games of 8+ catches with 8 touchdowns over that stretch. He has the 2nd highest points per game in PPR scoring since week 13 of last season. That's against all positions. Doesn't matter if you're a quarterback, running back, tight end, what. He is the 2nd highest points per game in PPR since week 13. Only Cooper Kupp has been better than him in that stretch. He is a target share monster. He's been shredding defense left and right. And he's also getting chances on the ground. Mind you, 68 yards on 2 carries last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the Detroit offense. Lock him in to almost just all of your lineups. Lock him in. And he's so good.
I couldn't agree more. Look, I mean, I think you retweeted something on Twitter at the TFL podcast. Since week 13 last year, I think he's the 3rd most fantasy scorer at the wide receiver position. Second, sorry. But you look at his numbers, and at 12K, he is going to just not the value is outrageous. Let's just look here. He is participating in 86% of all pass snaps for the Detroit Lions. But not only that, when he's running those routes, 36% of the time, they're targeting him.
It's ridiculous.
That target share is outrageous.
It's stupid.
I mean, play him in cash, play him in GPPs, play him everywhere. He's going to be popular though, Rowan. I guess you're going to have to make sure you get different elsewhere in your lineup in those GPPs.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a scary move to fade him. That's for sure.
Oh, when he's $5K cheaper than Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson, $5K, it's the savings you get from playing him instead of those guys is huge. So look, it just means you can play both. That's the reality.
Exactly.
It's stupid.
It's a high point total. The game is looking like a brilliant matchup where we've got 2 good offenses against very bad defenses, and so points should be had.
Yeah, I think so. The other wide receiver, obviously, is Justin Jefferson in this game. He is primed for a bounce back game. Look, coming up against Darius Slay was obviously too much for him. Poor guy. But
put some of that on Cousins.
We can do that a little bit. But anyway, look, he's priced up. He's $17,630, which I actually think makes him less chalky, hopefully. If he's still at that price, we see the bad game last week. I think he's a good GPP play. I really like actually Justin Jefferson and paying up for him this week. On the running back side, the other wide receivers, whatever. If you really want to pair up with a Josh Reynolds or a DJ Chark, I guess you can. Adam Thielen is kind of working his way back into the offense. So if you're stacking, you play those guys. If you're not stacking, then I just don't think you want to touch those secondary wide receivers. Running backs, DeAndre Swift, his efficiency is elite. Minnesota have been really poor at stopping the run. Their yards per carry, like we said before, at 5.3 yards per carry. That's the seventh most yards per carry that a defense is allowing in the league. So Swift, he makes the most of his opportunities. I really like him here. Minnesota are 32nd. They're last in rush DVOA. So Swift is a phenomenal bring back piece. Or if you're looking for a secondary stack, you want to get into this game, Swift is a great play. Really love Swift. Dalvin Cook on the other side, kind of is the story with Minnesota, is that they've been poor and we're looking for bounce backs. And Dalvin Cook is still Dalvin Cook. He is a phenomenal running back. He's priced up, 15,990. That's second in terms of all running backs. And, the thing is, he's seeing all of Minnesota's red zone work. So, again, great GPP play. I don't think people are going to be jumping on Dalvin Cook here. So I'm pretty happy to play Dalvin Cook. Tight ends, Irv Smith commanded a lot of targets last week. I think that was probably because of the pressure that Cousins was feeling, and he had to kind of go short. So take into that what you will. Detroit are only pressuring the quarterback. I'm jumping into the wrong person here. They're pressuring the quarterback not as much as you'd like. So probably the need to pass to Irv Smith is not quite there. But Hockenson, if you look at Hockenson and the routes he's been running, he's got an 87% route participation on the season with a 22% targets per route run. Like, if he's always out there, if he's always running, then there's a decent chance that he's going to take some catches. He's gone down to $9,530, which in a stack, I think is a great way to kind of allow room for paying up elsewhere. So Minnesota giving up the fourth most receiving yards to tight ends on the year. So I actually think Hockenson is sliding into one of my favorite GPP tight end plays this week. I think he's not liked by the field. Hockenson is going to come in at low ownership, especially when you've got other guys like Kelsey and Mark Andrews on the slate. So Hockenson is one of those guys that I think could do well here. Goff is also cheap, only $10,980. He's averaging 21.27 Draftstars points the last couple of weeks. Minnesota only pressuring the quarterback 17.3% of the time. That's fourth worst. So Goff here is in a decent spot to be stacked. I actually quite like stacking Goff this week. It really does free up cash, like especially if you're going with Hockenson, Amon-Ra, and Goff. Yeah, that's not much of your salary. That's a great little stack to be able to then pay up elsewhere. So I'm really looking at that. So I'm looking at this going two ways. Cousins with two of Justin Jefferson, Thielen, or Irv Smith with the bring back of Amon-Ra, Hockenson, or Swift. You're probably bringing back Amon-Ra. Let's be honest. You're going to be your primary bring back, because if you think it's going to shoot out, Amon-Ra is going to get the ball a ton. On the other side, though, love having a Goff with an Amon-Ra and Hockenson stack with a Justin Jefferson bring back. So pretty happy with that. So love this game, actually. It's going to be one that people might shy away from a little bit, but the over-under of being 54 points is juicy, that to say the least. So, love that.
Beautiful.
Next game, Arch, is Buffalo at Miami.
Absolutely. Look, just navigating my door, just swinging open thanks to the dog. He loves to headbutt the door open.
On your text. On your text.
Yeah, the big Texan. Anyway, Buffalo at Miami. Another huge game total of 54. Interesting to see how this goes. Buffalo, the favourite by 4 points. Overall, both teams, look, not up there in terms of pace. They've just been really efficient offenses so far. And they've both got quite highly rated defenses against the rush. So we're looking at mainly scoring through the air. Look, to be honest, I'm a little bit on the unders in terms of the game total for this game. I'm not sure that Miami will keep up with Buffalo, but maybe we hit the overs just on the Buffalo side. Anyway, we saw what happened in 3 quarters against Tennessee. Anyway, so let's just quickly look at the Buffalo side of it. Look, to me, all eyes are on Gabe Davis at the moment. It's is he going to be healthy? If he is, I think he's a good play here. But if he's not, you can't ignore Stephon Diggs. After what he's done, they have not priced him up after Monday night. Looks like maybe they had finalised their prices before that game, or they think Gabe Davis is going to play. But look, Diggs at under 16K after what he can do and just the pure volume of the offense. It's hard to ignore, but again, he's going to be super popular. So, be aware in GPPs that you're going to have, some different pieces elsewhere. I think McKenzie is a good punt on the Buffalo side. He's running a fair amount of routes. Where is he? He 41% of routes at the moment he's running. Look, not huge, but as a 6K option in a high point total game, he's someone I think you can get a little bit different. It's when he's out there, he's still getting some targets. Jamison Crowder actually got a couple targets as well, so he's someone to keep an eye on, but probably a little bit thin for my liking. Dawson Knox is out there a heck of a lot. I don't think we're going to keep seeing, your Reggie Gilliams of the world popping up for touchdowns. Legitimately saw him in a redraft league get picked up. I'm just like, come on.
No,
that's not happening.
Don't do that.
No. Anyway, things that happen in work redraft leagues where no one knows anything about what they're doing. So, but no, I would be pretty happy with Knox as a red zone threat potentially. Look, he's not getting the targets when he's out there. He's only target per route runs only at 12%. So. I'd like to see that improve, but at the end of the day, he's on the field and his price is going down each week. So it could be a good time to strike while the game total's high. Miami's 31st against the pass, according to Football Outsiders DVOA. So play your pass catchers. This is, Buffalo stacks for days. On the Miami side, we saw what happened last week. I reckon people are going to be, they're now just, Tua, he's an option. People won some money on him, feeling good about it. Look, I'm not sure. We'll get to him a little bit later, but Waddle as a wide receiver, 12K. I think it's a good 2K under Tyreek Hill, and we're getting pretty similar production. So the way I sort of see this is that people are probably going to flock to Waddle. Maybe Hill becomes a bit under-owned due to the salary, so he's someone I think is in play. But on the whole, Rowan, if I'll just hit a little drop if you want to change the screen here.
Yeah.
Declare bankruptcy!
Look, Tua Tagovailoa, he is my fade of the week this week. Tua exploded last week and made a lot of people money. But those who missed out, like ourselves, Rowan, and others, they might want to chase those points. And look, to see the high point total and what they did last week, people are going to lock him into a lot of lineups, but not me, Rowan. I'm fading big time. They're facing arguably the best defense in the NFL. In fact, Football Outsiders rank them as the first defense according to DVOA. So I will fade Tua, but not only Tua, I might throw Waddle in there and Hill. Chuck any Miami pieces, I'm out this week. I just think we cannot repeat what happened last week. Tua in a high point total game against Buffalo, he's going to be behind, and that's a recipe for turnovers for me. And so I am fading the Miami offense in total, but generally in specifically Tua this week.
That's a big call, Arch. That's a big call, but I like it. Like, DFS is the game where we can't go point chasing. We have to look at each matchup in respect to itself and what's going on before it. And Tua is not just a one-game wonder, yes, but in terms of putting up 40 points again, it's super unlikely based on what we've seen before. So, now, look, I'm probably going to be with you on this one during this week. So,
my only caveat is that there are reports that safety Micah Hyde, linebacker Matt Milano, and cornerback Dane Jackson, they're all dealing with injuries as of just this morning. So if they all miss, then maybe Tua's a little bit more in play there. But in general, I think if the field's all over Miami, I don't want to be with the field here.
Now there's just as good options, I think, elsewhere around the around
I think
the track.
if we go then just look at this matchup in as if we want to build some stacks out of it, I'm all over the Buffalo side, as you could probably tell. Allen and Diggs and probably either throw in a McKenzie or a Knox just to get a little bit different, because obviously you'd think Allen stacks are going to be fairly popular, and just sort of hope McKenzie or Knox pop up for a touchdown. And I don't mind bringing it back with Tyreek. That's probably or just no bring back and just sort of hope for the onslaught, and that it all goes through Diggs. I do like the Buffalo defense as well if I'm playing other stacks away from this game. Like I said, I think there's a recipe here for turnovers. 5.8K is not a bad price, I think, for this sort of game script where turnovers are in play.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. No, good call. Moving on to our next matchup, we've got the Rams taking on Arizona at Arizona. It's over under of 49 points. Now, let's just talk about Arizona for a second. Their defense, they've allowed 302 passing yards per game. That's the second most over the last 2 weeks. Only 102 rushing yards per game, 20th, but that's probably because they just teams that know that they can throw on Arizona, and they've tried to attack that. So they've been letting up 33.5 real points per game as well. The Rams, we know, are solid when it comes to defense. So I'm looking at this game and, really kind of happy to kind of see this game as a potentially a Rams onslaught, Rams really attacking through the air. So there's some big opportunities here. So let's talk about our premium play of the week, though. So Cooper Kupp is a stud. I think we are aware of this. He's leading the league in points per game since week 13 of last season. Pulled that stat up before. He's leading all wide receivers in first read targets this season. Basically, needing to look anywhere else. He's just looking at Kupp and he's going, "Where's Kupp? I'm going to throw to him. I don't need to look at anyone else on my team." So he's always open. Sure. Now, Kupp may be the most expensive player on the slate. Once again, he's only $100 more than Justin Jefferson, and he's in a smash matchup against Arizona, who are allowing, like I said, the second most passing yards per game. Kupp went down in price. He was 18,000 last week, and now he's 17,770. So he's gone down in price. And if he was a value last week, if he was really good last week, which he was, then at a lesser price, I'm once again going to say that he is going to be value again. He's a smash play for me. I will be playing Cooper Kupp in a lot of places because you just don't fade the Kupp. No. So love this.
97% route participation last week, 38% targets per route run. Like, the guy's a monster. We know this out of this world type player from last year, and we're looking at it. Maybe Stafford's taken a downturn this year, but I think that potentially just opens Kupp up for more, easy across the middle receptions, letting him do his thing. Yeah,
I agree. It's you have to play Kupp. Like, I just can't not play Kupp. You have to play Kupp. The other Rams receivers, though, Allen Robinson, I think, is a fine play. Allen Robinson is sitting here at 9,630. Once again, we're talking about route participation. He's really quite high in that. He's always out there. And if you want to get different, or if you feel like the Rams are just going to smash Arizona, then play a double stack here with Robinson and Kupp. 4 for 53 and a touchdown last week. He's building into the offense like that a lot. On the other side of the ball, we got Marquise Brown, 9,950. And, he hasn't done like anything to set the world on fire, but he's still clearly the number one receiver for Kyler Murray. He's getting the targets. He's being looked for. So I'm looking at Marquise Brown here. He's coming off of an 11 target game. Follow the usage, 95% route participation. He's always on the field. Marquise Brown is the bring back option. Just full stop.
Yeah, he's going to explode at some stage, you'd think.
I think so. Like, he's shown that in Baltimore that he can have massive games. So I'm keen to see what he can continue to do as he builds that rapport with Murray. Dortch, he's at 6K. He's got a low average depth of target, but hey, he's getting opportunities. 455 and a touchdown, 7 for 63. If there's no Rondale Moore, that's the big thing here. If there's no Rondale Moore this week, then I'm going to play Greg Dortch again. He's 6K. He's someone that's clearly the second target in that offense. He's finding space down the middle of the field. So I like Dortch.
So,
if there's
question,
no
Rowan,
Rondale Moore, yeah.
So if Rondale Moore is up, does Rondale Moore at 6K interest you, or do you think maybe he splits too much with Dortch still being slightly involved?
Yeah, look, I think Dortch, it would be unfair for Dortch to not be involved in some capacity. So, especially when you bring back a player off of a soft tissue injury, then I'm looking at, a little bit of participation, not full participation in his what we might see down the track in terms of his snap share. So, I'm not going to play Moore or Dortch, I think, if Rondale Moore is healthy. AJ Green is old. Don't play him. That's what I'm. That's my bottom line here. When it comes to running backs, I'm just avoiding both backfields. You've got Akers and Henderson, who we are not sure in terms of how they're going to split this. Akers got more involved last week, and really the way to attack Arizona is through the field, through the air. Sorry, so I'm not looking at either of these guys having a ceiling game, so I couldn't care less about who their prices are and all that kind of stuff. James Conner's questionable. The one thing you might want to look at is whether Darrell Williams is going to get a workload or not. He came in last week, put up 59 yards and a touchdown. He was clearly the number one guy with Conner getting injured. So watch that, monitor that. Darrell Williams is cheap, but even so, it's against the Rams. The likelihood of him putting up, he might be a cash game play, maybe into your head-to-heads, but I'm not super keen on Darrell Williams in GPP. Really. Now, tight end land gets a bit interesting. Zach Ertz is priced up. I'll say priced up at 8,200 after a solid game last week, 8 for 75. But actually, I really like Tyler Higbee this week. Arizona have given up the most.
On the screen, Tom Ottens, he's sending a little. He wants to know a bit more about Higbee.
Yeah, here we go. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. And I love Tom. Love Tom. I do love you, Tom.
Love Tom.
I love Tyler. I love Tyler Higbee at 7,300 because you're right. He is on the field so much. He's always around. Look. Arizona have given up the most yards to the tight end this year, 212 yards over the first 2 weeks. Now, granted, that's Darren Waller and Travis Kelce, so I need to have pinch of salt there, of course. But Devontae Adams really didn't do anything against Arizona last week, which was a shock. They funneled the offense through the middle of the field. It was Renfro and Waller who were getting the most targets last week. So I'm looking at this going, well, what's the equivalent? Cooper Kupp in the slot and Tyler Higbee at the tight end spot. So really, I'm a big fan of Higbee this week to get different because I don't think people are going to be on Higbee because he's not one of the big guys. And actually,
he hasn't scored a touchdown yet, Ron. And I think with his participation, I think I was just looking 97% of routes run for the team, 27% targets per routes run. He is involved. And it's only a matter of time that he finds himself in pay dirt. So why not get in a bit earlier than the field? Yeah,
no, I'm a big fan. 7 for 71 last week. Solid, really solid. So love Higbee, hate Ertz. The Rams are giving up the Rams have given up 29 yards to tight ends over the first 2 weeks. 29. That's it. Bottom line. So no, I'm not a fan of Ertz this week. Murray's really actually nicely priced at 14,060. I think that's quite soft considering what he can do do as a quarterback in terms of his legs and so his rushing ability. And if he can connect with Marquise Brown, then I actually think Murray could have a decent day. So Murray and one of Brown or Dortch or potentially both in a double stack if you really think this is going to be a bit of a shootout, sure. And then bring it back with Cooper Kupp. Stafford, on the other hand, Stafford priced at 12.4. He hasn't been anything great this year, but if you want a bit of the action and you think you're going to get the touchdowns through the air, then Stafford with 2 of Kupp, Robinson or Higbee plus a bring back of Brown or Dortch, I think is a solid little stack for us in this game. Next up, Chris, we've got Kansas City at Indianapolis.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this has, to me, a little bit of trap game potential for me. Look, there's 49 points. First game under 50 we're looking at, but still about there, fairly high points total. So it'll attract some interest. Mahomes always does. But really, we're looking at 2 fairly slow teams. We're below average pace of play. I'm tipping this potentially to be a bit of an unders type game. So just wary a little bit about this one. I think I've got Kansas City 21st pace of play rank, and Indianapolis 28th. And Matt Ryan is just struggling so far, isn't it? So a little bit of concern there that maybe this won't be the back and forth that we hoped. Look, Kansas City, they're the side to be on. They've got 28 points implied team total. We're starting to get a bit of an idea of who's involved in the offense. It's clear that it's the Kelsey show. He's always, I mean, not much has changed there, but we're seeing Juju and MVS as the two main wide receivers outside of Kelsey catching passes who are on the field there. Both sub 10K, and so they're if you can hit on the right one that actually has a decent game, there's potential there. But if it all goes through Kelsey and maybe CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, potentially you might be left wanting with the Kansas City wide receivers, as we often do with secondary pass catchers for the Chiefs. Where am I? So I've just completely lost my point. Anyway, but yeah, Kelsey is the play here. If we look at his price, he's obviously he deserves to be the most expensive tight end there. But for a man who is on the field, last week 94% of routes run by the team, he was there. 25% targets per route run. Like, he is always in Mahomes' sights, and so I'd like to think that he's a big play this week. Obviously, you have to pay up for him, and so it makes your roster construction a little bit trickier, and you want to pair him with Mahomes, I think, if you're going to play him. But look, I think that you want to double stack this game on the Kansas City side. I'm not really hopeful on Indianapolis. Do we have much word on where Pittman's sitting at the moment, Ron? I
haven't seen anything definite.
Yeah,
that's the reality. So it's a watch and see this early.
Yeah, look, if he's out, this game's looking pretty ugly, I think, because it's JT and that's it. So we saw a lot of low-priced Indianapolis wide receivers not really getting involved. In fact, their next three wide receivers are all 6K wide receivers. Who do you like out of Paris Campbell, Ashton Dulin? Like, they're probably your two next price.
None.
Yeah, like,
the answer is none.
That's right. Paris Campbell, he is on the field a lot. 80% of passing.
Well, someone has to be. Someone has to be on the field. Doesn't mean they're going to produce.
He cannot get open. He is not earning targets. So that you might be flirting with these guys as 6K wide receivers if Pittman's out, but I think I'm avoiding and thinking, look, Ryan's just going to have a real bad day. And I think Mahomes is going to control the game. I think CEH is a good play because I think if they get a nice lead, they're going to lean into the run game. What's his name? McKinnon as well, potentially is in play as well. He... it seems to be the number 2 involved. But again, it's sort of hard to, 8K, it's not much, but it's probably, he's not going to produce enough. To me, I'm just not that enthusiastic about this game. If I'm going to play it, it's going to be Mahomes and Kelsey, maybe throw in a Juju or MVS, and maybe bring back with JT. But even that's a maybe. We saw what happened last week, big failure. 7.3. The field was all over him. It's an interesting play. It'd be interesting to see where the field goes with JT, whether they're once burnt and run away. But I think that's something I want to keep an eye on. What are some ownership projections out there? If he's popular, run away. But if everyone's off him and gone to elsewhere, maybe JT's worth a throw in here.
Yeah, my 2 cents is that I'm looking at this and going, I agree. I think this isn't going to be a high point game. I think this is going to be one where KC just manage it, and I wouldn't be surprised if Indianapolis score less than 10 or 15 points even. Jonathan Taylor's my only play that I'd have on Indianapolis, purely, like you said, because I think people fall off of him, and also because he's Jonathan Taylor. Let's not forget,
he is
Jonathan Taylor. He is a gun. He can rip off massive gains. It didn't happen last week, but we know what he can do. They're going to need him. They're going to use him a ton. So think of Jonathan Taylor as you would Najee Harris, really. And Jonathan Taylor's just got extra burst than Najee. So Jonathan Taylor, I'm always happy to play, especially if he's sub 15K. I really love Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's great value.
Absolutely.
At sub 10K, you're looking at a guy who is going to get the touches. Like I think the scheme this year that we're seeing with Kansas City is that CEH is their guy when in the backfield. Yes, McKinnon can come in, snag a touchdown, and it's not very fun when he does that. But look, 12 rushing yards, 4 receiving yards, and a touchdown. No thanks. I'm going to look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's scored over 15.8 points for the last 2 weeks, getting involved in the passing game and really solid on the ground. So now give me CEH here. I think he's a great play in this game. Next up, we got Jacksonville taking on Los Angeles, and these guys here are looking at an over-under of 48. Chargers are 7-point favorites. You know, Jacksonville haven't been great, except against Indianapolis last week where they shut them out.
Yes.
The week before, the Commanders had 28 points against them, though, and won. So the Chargers, I think, their defense is really solid. Like, if you look on paper, the names that they've got there, their defense is great. And so when I look at this, even with the questionables next to Herbert, when I look at the questionable next to Keenan Allen, I'm looking at this game still and thinking, all right, if Herbert's not going to play, but I think he will. Everything seems positive. It doesn't seem like it's a broken rib. It's just some cartilage that he's dealing with. So pain meds and all that kind of stuff will play into effect here. But with Herbert playing, I think this is a game where, again, we're going to look at the Chargers and go, you're going to win. You're probably just going to win. And Mike Williams is a great play at 12,900, especially if Keenan Allen isn't playing. If Keenan Allen's not playing, I like Josh Palmer at 8,200 as well. You know, Herbert's been throwing at a 72% completion rate. He's getting people the ball, and we saw what he did at the end of that Kansas City game. That was just, you know, Superman level type stuff in terms of what he was able to do with that injury. So you're always going to look at the Chargers to play here because they got a pretty great offense. Eckler's been a really interesting one for me, though. He's been a between the 20s guy. Like, he's not really getting that much outside of the passing game. Yeah. And he's not getting that much in terms of the red zone looks. Josh Kelly's been coming in and splitting carries with him. I think at above 16,000, I have to fade Austin Eckler here. It's hard. Like, you might sprinkle him in.
We're officially worried? Is that what we're...
Look, the usage is different. And it's not game script based usage either. Like, this is usage that is scary from the sense of just the game plan looks different. So it's not pretty. It's not pretty for me.
No,
so
especially when I burn a first round pick in a couple redraft leagues on Eckler.
Yeah. My Scott Fishbowl took Austin Eckler early as well. So that was dangerous. So look, I'm going to avoid Eckler. That's just me. Look, which makes him a good GPP play because I think the whole field's going to be off of him. So
yeah, if he turns.
If you like the leverage here, go for it. That's fine. The other side, James Robinson and Travis Etienne, they're splitting touches. It's a bit of an ugly split, but Robinson's coming out as a clear number one, especially in the end zone. Like, he's the one getting the touches in the end zone with 2 rushing touchdowns over 2 weeks here. Also got a receiving touchdown, so they're not afraid to pass it to him in those crucial moments as well. So, look, Robinson's your guy, and I can see him being in your GPP lineups, especially. So, yeah, look, James Robinson is interesting. I'm going to avoid Travis Etienne until I see actually anything decent. But the reality is it could probably flip at any time. And suddenly Etienne just has a good game. So, just be careful with that one. The Jacksonville player that everyone's probably going to be on because of his – look, Christian Kirk is looking good. He's got a 27% targets per route run, which is pretty good. He's a clear number 1 wide receiver here in Jacksonville. The big thing and he's put up a 25.8 against Indianapolis with 2 touchdowns and a 20.7 with 117 yards against Washington. Like that, everything's pointing up. Christian Kirk, though, has known to be a splash player. Even when he's been in, it's usually because he's been the second wide receiver. I'll admit that, but he's clear number 1 here. But he's coming up against this Chargers secondary, Derwin James and the like. It's tricky. Christian Kirk is tricky. So I think he's going to be played a lot and he's cheap. and all the metrics say he should. But my hesitancy is that it's against the Chargers. That's just where I sit. So I'll probably be lower on Christian Kirk than the field. That's where I sit. But I know Arch, you're a big fan.
Oh, huge fan. But again, we're playing the game theory here. If the chalk's going to be Kirk, the price is beautiful. If I can get 10K for 20 to 25 points, like it's a no-brainer for a lot of people. Look, he's going to probably be in my cash lineup. I don't mind that, but yeah, GPPs is probably better to just fade. But wasn't it good to see Trevor Lawrence actually look good in like last week and actually show a bit of promise? He was decisive in his passes. The decision making was a lot better. So it was just good to finally see something. Hopefully, he can sort of move on and build from here.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm still not going to play Trevor Lawrence.
No.
But yeah, if in terms of what he's doing for his wide receivers, yes.
No.
Like,
I just enjoyed
it.
watching him play better.
No, fair enough. If you're going to stack this game, it's Herbert, and it's 1 or 2 of Williams, Allen, Everett. Don't forget Gerald Everett looking good. He's looking really solid, actually. I'm a big fan of Gerald Everett. But then bring back with Kirk. That's pretty much it. That's where I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Next up, Philly at Washington.
Yes, last matchup to go through. Look, both teams here have just been pumping the pace. We're seeing lots of plays in the games here, which means more fantasy points for their pieces. QBs are scoring points. Carson Wentz, which you don't mind, averaging 32.3 on the season so far. Who would have thought that? But Hurts, my goodness, hasn't he just come out of the blocks this year? He is looking good. As much as I hated watching it on Monday night or Tuesday morning, I should say. But, how you don't play Hurts is beyond me. He's got it all, unfortunately. Love Hurts as a play. Look, both Ds are very poor against the run. The way that I could potentially see this game going is that Philadelphia just controls the game on the ground. So I don't mind Miles Sanders here. Sub 10K is a nice play. Washington are 31st in rush defense according to Football Outsiders DVOA. So play him. He's clearly the guy there. Washington are just a bad defense in total. That's why Wentz is throwing it so much. So AJ Brown, get him into your lineups. I
love that price. Oh, that's a great price.
13K, 36% targets per route run. Like he is, Hurts is eyeing him out. They're scheming him open. They've paid him the money. They've traded for him, and they are using him. To Devontae Smith's, I guess it's hurting him.
15 points last week was solid. 7 for 80. I'll take that for a guy priced less than 10K.
Yeah, it's a thin play though. Look, if we're looking when he's running routes, he's sub 20% targets per route run, but he is on the field. So, look, if I thought this was going to be a back and forth affair, potentially we saw Philadelphia put up so many points last week, it'd be in play. But if I see this as being, maybe Philadelphia just slow this game down a bit more and work the ground, that's where I'm a bit hesitant on Smith this week. But
where you at with got it? Let's just 9,300 for Goddard. I think this guy is going to be a consistent piece of the offense, so I'm always willing to play this guy.
No. Look, if you look at the way they're lining up, most players it's Brown, Smith, and Goddard out there. Yeah. And so he's on the field, not commanding stupid amounts of targets, but he's clearly the third pass catching option. So I don't mind him. It's starting to get a little bit pricey. You start to look at the 9-3 and you're thinking, it's him or Pitts this week, and I think Pitts is going to be a fairly popular play out there. Goddard might be a nice little pivot point there. On the Washington side, look, Philly are killing it against the pass. Like they shut down JJ last week. They did not enjoy that. Honestly. So to me, it's a complete fade on Terry McLaurin. I can't play him this week, even at 10K. It's not pretty out there. Because he's not the clear one, really, at the moment. So if you look at who they've got out there, Curtis Samuel seems to be out there and commanding a lot more targets. Look, Jahan Dotson is actually running more routes than both of them together. Doesn't quite get the same amount of targets, but he's definitely had some good games out there. So catching touchdowns is helpful. And so 2 in week 1 last week. If he can continue that, I think Dotson could be that good play where Slay is on McLaurin, Dotson's free. Look, I think Curtis Samuel's going to get heaps of work, maybe a few extra design runs, because they're going to have to work out on the ground how to beat this Philly defense. So, look, probably fading Terry, but the other two guys definitely players good bring back. So the way I'm stacking this is clearly Hurts with AJ Brown, and then probably having a Devontae Smith or Goddard as that second part. I want to double stack with Hurts, and then bring it back with Miles Sanders or Curtis Samuel or Antonio Gibson. We haven't spoken about him. I think he's again. They're going to have to rely a bit more on the run to beat Philly. So if they can get something going, obviously Gibson has to be a big part of that.
Yeah, definitely. He's still the guy in the red zone as well. Yeah. So Gibson's solid here at 10-3. I think the value at running back this week is probably where you want to attack it.
No, yep. Yeah, and probably do some mini stacks. So if I'm playing other quarterbacks, I'll probably have a few lineups with the Sanders, Curtis Samuel mini stack thrown in there. I think that's a nice way to just get a piece of this game.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Well, let's quickly talk about some other plays from the positions that we haven't mentioned in our 6 matchups. We'll be quick on this one, but some quick fire plays from you. What's your favorite play at quarterback other than the ones we talked about?
Yeah, I mean, really, I personally won't play anyone we haven't talked about so far. Maybe Jameis. Like, if I'm feeling frisky, that he could ball out, against Tampa Bay. We don't expect too much, but against Carolina, maybe, but really, probably not.
No, fair enough. My value play, I'm going to go back to Marcus Mariota again, and I think what we don't always see in the matchups is like we see these great offenses going up against each other, which is awesome, but we don't see bad defenses going up against each other. And Seattle versus Atlanta is 2 bad defenses. If there's going to be a game that shoots out, that's not one of the 6 that we've mentioned. It's Seattle and Atlanta. I think these guys could, make the most of that. So Marcus Mariota, like I said last week, he's a decent amount. Running backs, we're looking at running backs. My best play outside of these games is Lenny Fournette. Like, he's priced up at 13,070. Green Bay are giving up equal first, 143 rush yards per game at 6.1 yards per carry. That's a beautiful thing. He's had 23 and 28 opportunities in the last 2 weeks. So aside from his health, but he played through this hamstring injury that he got 2 weeks ago. He played through that last week. He should be getting healthier from that. So they're looking after him in practice. I think Lenny Fournette is a really good player running back this week. That isn't part of the other 6 games. You like Josh Jacobs?
Look, he hasn't done too much. Again, we're looking for how we can get different here and save some salary. Look, not many people are going to play him, but we see, he's clearly their guy. 72% snap share versus Tennessee. I think is just worth a stab out there
for sure. Wide receiver, your best play?
Jamar Chase, I think he disappointed last week, but we know the big plays that he can bring. I think against the Jets, like, come on. So there's Jets are going to be up and about after last week, but the Jets are going to jet hopefully, and Chase has a big game. Look, we still want to see Cincinnati's offense start to just bring it together. They've started pretty ordinary, so the hope is that things happen. Look, I don't mind T. Higgins as well if you want to take the a 3K discount here. I think both of those guys are nice plays this week.
Yeah, solid. My value play, I'm going to go down to Drake London here. London, again, last week, he showed out 8 for 86 and a touchdown. This is his guy's second NFL game. Like, I'm really excited to see what London can do against
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, look, Jackson. Yeah, I know. You've got Kyle Pitts in Dynasty. I've got Drake London in Dynasty. So once again, I'm enjoying a little bit of production here from my guys. So Drake London is clear number one target in Atlanta. 19 targets in 2 weeks. He's 10K. If this defense is, to be made fun of, then Drake London's going to be part of that. So I'm a big fan. In tight end land, my play of the week outside of what we talked about is Mark Andrews. He's clearly just the guy. If we're talking about tight ends with ceiling, it's Kelsey and Andrews.
Yeah.
Pitts has shown it last year, hasn't shown it this year. Waller has been decent. I don't mind him, but really out of the guys that you're like, oh, these guys can go off, it's Mark Andrews and Kelsey. So Mark Andrews here is good one. Good play here. Your value play, Arch?
Look, obviously I'm sticking with a theme here with Cincinnati. Hopefully, starting to put some things together. Hayden Hurst on a new team, slowly putting his work in with the team. As he's on the field a heck of a lot for 5.8K. I think he's a good play. He's running routes, 80% of team route participation. So he's going to get more involved as the weeks go on. If he can just earn some more targets, I think at 5.8, all you're hoping is for a couple catches, maybe a touchdown. You're laughing.
Yeah, solid. DST, defense, you like the Bills. You mentioned that earlier.
Yep. Yeah, I love the Bills. I think, as I said, high points, Tua turnover could happen.
It's true. I'm going to scroll down and go to Detroit last week against Washington. 5 sacks, 1 interception, 1 safety, putting pressure on. Great to see Aiden Hutchinson really stepping up in that defensive line. Rodrigo as well from Hard Knocks. And look, you've got Minnesota, and it's at Minnesota, so you don't always love to play defense. That's the away team, but at 4K, Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. You're never really sure what you're going to get. So he could. Anyway, there you go. That's our players. That's the people that we like. Arch, let's go quickly and build a little head-to-head lineup here for the listeners. So where do you want to start here? Let's go to quarterback and let's build a little lineup.
I guess probably it's, to me, Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts are probably my 2 favorite cash game, because we're doing head-to-head. So we've sort of got a cash game mentality here. They're probably my 2 favorites. Probably Josh Allen is maybe where I'm leaning. Hurts, just in case Philly again, just lean on that run. What do you think?
Yeah, let's price it up. Let's go with Josh Allen here.
See how it fits.
Stephon Diggs, he's cheap, right?
Yep.
For what he is. And in cash, we don't feel like we have to double stack or even bring it back. We can just have that little correlation there. Yep. We're looking for volume. Speaking of volume, I want to play Amon-Ra St. Brown
you couldn't
in this lineup.
Enough,
no, that's right. And you like Curtis Samuel here.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel. Yep, absolutely. Sub 10K, I believe. So plenty of volume, I think, for him.
For sure.
So, George, should we chuck in your defense as well, just to try to free up, see what salary we've got left to work with?
Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to throw in Detroit. I'm going to throw Detroit in there. It's 4K. Look, it's early on in the week. You might want to change your mind to something else, especially if Herbert's injured and doesn't actually make it through, then potentially the Jacksonville defense is solid, and they've been putting pressure on. They've been great. Yeah, 6 sacks the last 2 weeks. Anyway, tight end land. Where do we want to go here? This is probably the interesting one. We can pay down. Like I said before, I quite like Tyler Higbee.
Yep.
So let's throw him in. Yep. Running backs. Do we want to correlate with Curtis Samuel and play our Miles Sanders?
Yeah,
he's getting touches. And I actually really like Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Ooh, yep. Yeah, do that. And so we got some more money in the flex to work with.
So I've got 14K in the flex. I really like that. We could play double tight end with Travis Kelce here. Other guys around
Don't
this.
hate it.
No, it's
or AJ Brown. It's him or AJ Brown is probably where I'm sort of looking. But we've got Miles Sanders, so does that sort of work against us?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't place Sanders and Brown in the same lineup, especially not in cash. Kelce with Clyde Edwards-Helaire probably has the same mentality. But if I'm playing Kelce, then instead of Sanders, there's not really anyone else there that or instead of Clyde Whistle, I'm not really sure on.
Yeah, and the alternative is we take out Higbee and go a low-priced wide receiver. We put Kelsey in and then scroll down.
Scroll all the way. Yeah, let's just do this. I'm going to put Stephon Diggs in the flex, and then we can have a look at our wide receivers a bit easily. Look, you got KJ Osborne, Sammy Watkins, Isaiah McKenzie. It gets a bit funky down here, really. I think, honestly, if I was going to play anyone, it'd be Dortch still.
Yep.
At 6K. It's going to be a salary saver there. It gives us a bunch of money that we could potentially upgrade CH with. CH could then become Antonio Gibson or Cordero Patterson. Which I don't mind, or Cordero Patterson, to be honest. But that's a bit too sneaky. Anyway, guys, there you go. I think there's some ideas for your head-to-head games this week through just what we've talked about. It was a bit on the fly, but that's how we do it. Well, that brings us once again to the end of the TFL podcast for week 3. Don't forget, we are on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Like and subscribe, please. That would be fantastic. Hit that bell so you get the notifications for when we go live. It is Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Australian Central Standard Time, soon to be Australian Central Daylight Savings Time. And make sure you like and subscribe. Jump in the comments. We appreciate having a chat on YouTube as we go as well. Our podcast 5-star reviews. Don't forget our TFL contest on Draftstars. It is bit.ly/TFL week 3. Don't forget to gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858 if you need. Arch, I'm wishing you all the best. May you not have don't fade whoever is tour this week. Let's
make sure we hit the plays.
That's right. Let's do that. That would be fantastic. All the best to the rest of you out there. Look forward to seeing you out there on the Draft Stars leaderboards, and we will catch you next time.
Bye-bye.